The NBA season has been nothing short of surprising, and last night we saw James Harden in this super team trade where now James Harden is going to be forming with Kevin Durant, Kyrie Irving. I thought it was a perfect time to go through my new, updated, and really actually first power rankings of this NBA season. If you enjoy daily NBA content, make sure you subscribe. I'm dropping videos on the NBA every single day. That's what daily NBA content is. So, we're getting there. Closer to the 150 subscriber mark. If you want to be part of that goal, you make sure you subscribe. But we're not going to spend too much longer on that. We're going to jump straight into it. This is like a mesh of what we've seen so far and what I think we'll see going forward. There's really no perfect power rankings. Everyone's going to get these wrong. Everyone has their own opinion. Let me know in the comments what you think I got wrong, what you think I got right. Just comment stuff. I love replying to all your guys' comments. That's what I do this for. So we're going to hop straight into number 30, the Pistons at 2-9. This one is pretty obvious. I feel like, going into the season, I didn't think they'd be the worst in the NBA. I thought that'd be the Thunder just because they have no star power, really. Maybe Blake Griffin was returned to close to All-NBA Blake Griffin form, and he just has not done that. Killian Hayes hasn't been great as a rookie even, and Sekou Doumbouya hasn't shown the promise that we wanted him to show, but they're getting back to it. They're doing fine. Fine for what their roster shows. They're obviously the worst team in the NBA. Just basically Pistons fan. It's tanking for Cade Cunningham, right? We're not going to spend too much time on them. At 29, the Grizzlies are 5-6. This isn't their fault. This is the fact that Ja Morant and Jaren Jackson Jr. are hurt. This is not the 29th worst team in the NBA. It really is just, they'll take a jump in 2 weeks when Ja Morant hopefully returns. They have a decent record. They don't deserve to be 29. But right now, they have absolutely nothing going for them. Dillon Brooks looks good in the absence of Ja Morant. Jaren Jackson Jr.'s absence has really let Jonas Valanciunas get into that role. So they're playing better than expected, but at the same time, they're still the 29th worst team in the NBA at this current moment until those guys get back. At 28, the 4-7 Bulls. They strung a few wins together, but at the end of the day, they're still the Chicago Bulls. They have talent that has a lot of potential, but right now it's not showing. Zach LaVine is dropping like 40 pieces every night. And he's not getting rewarded for it. The worst part about them is their defense because they're outscoring people, or they're putting up a ton of points, but then they're getting outscored just because they can't hold their own on the defensive end. And that also goes for another team we'll talk about in a second. At 27, we have the 5-6 Thunder. I thought going into this year, like I mentioned earlier, that this would be the worst team in the NBA. Shai Gilgeous-Alexander can't do everything on his own. Like, he's legit the only good player on that team. But George Hill's chipped in some. Isaiah Roby's chipped in some. Darius Bazley's had his games. It's really interesting to see them, at 27, 5 wins. I didn't even know if they did 5 wins on the season. Obviously, that's a joke. But seriously, that team was that bad coming in. And, Shai Gilgeous-Alexander and some other good role players have really contributed, making themselves, George Hill's worth a first-round pick at this point. At 26, we have the 2-8 Raptors. Some of you guys might have it way lower. But in my Raptors video that I'm dropping tomorrow, I talk about how this team really just is one move away from being back to where they were. And, you look at this roster, they're starting to pick it up. Pascal Siakam's having better games. Fred VanVleet is filling more into that shooting guard role that we didn't know if he'd be able to hit. So, it'll start working out for them. They've had a really, really tough start to the season. I love to slander them earlier in the season, but they're starting to get it figured out. Just give them a second. At 25, we have the Knicks, 5-7. Obviously, the biggest surprise of this season so far. They started losing games. It's looking pretty obvious that they're back to ground level. They're back on earth. But with their amazing start and their coaching with Tom Thibodeau, I don't think I can put them any lower than this. I really don't. I see Julius Randle he's low-key right now. He's an all-star. And I don't think for that reason I could take anything away. R.J. Barrett is proving to you Knicks fans that hated on him that he is that dude. Just give this team a second. I don't think they'll be a playoff team or a play-in team. But I think it was fun while it lasted, and I can't justify putting them any lower than 25. At 24, the Rockets, obviously, they just shipped out James Harden. That's the big move. They brought in Oladipo. They brought in a ton of picks, and no one else is really that significant. I don't believe in that trade. It was Rodney Caruks and Dante Exum. But Victor Oladipo, does not make them better than when James Harden was there, but James Harden didn't care, and James Harden was being incredibly lazy. John Wall is having a little bit of a resurrection season. Like, he's been a lot better than I thought he would be. Christian Wood is, like, low-key an all-star, just like Julius Randle. And I honestly don't expect him to slow down. Like, I expect Julius Randle to slow down. I don't expect Christian Wood to slow down. That dude is talented. They're going to be running a lineup, it looks like, it'll be John Wall, Oladipo, PJ Tucker in there, Christian Wood, and someone else. Really, this team isn't as bad as we thought. And or Eric Gordon's in there too. This team isn't that bad. And going forward, like, they're already 3-6 with Harden, like, being a complete distraction. They're going to be a better team. At 23, the Wolves. We saw them get off really, really hot, and they look good. D'Lo has just been incredibly inefficient this year, and they lost Cat for a decent portion so far this year. Obviously, it's super young season, but I expect them to be, they're way better than 3-8. And Anthony Edwards is having a great rookie season. Ricky Rubio looks nice. Malik Beasley looks kind of worth the money. The biggest thing is they need a 4. Juancho Hernan-Gomez can't fill that role, and I'm confused on why you drop Ronda Hollis-Jefferson, because that dude Jake Layman, when he's starting, he's just running around. You could pay me to run around on the court. I'll do it just as good as Jake Layman. I kind of look like him too. But, the Wolves are way better, especially when they have Cat, D'Lo on the floor. Anthony Edwards needs to start. So I expect them to be the 23rd best team in the NBA for a little while going forward. Obviously, this stuff will all fluctuate, but I don't think this team is as bad as 3-8. At 22, we have the Wizards again at 3-8. This roster has it. Thomas Bryant just went down, though, looks like for the season, which is very, very unfortunate because he was hooping. He was absolutely balling out. I expect this team to find a little more defense when Robin Lopez is starting. It'll, in a way, it hurts them, but I can expect Bradley Beal to take on the scoring load, especially like with Russell Westbrook. I expect Thomas Bryant's scoring load to not be as much of a burden as people might think for Bradley Beal. This dude was dropping 60 pieces and losing games. Super, super unfortunate. I feel really, really bad for him. But this team will find their wins just like they have been doing a little bit recently. They've gotten some close losses. Same thing with the Raptors. I meant to mention that they're not 2-8. They'd be 4-6. They lost back-to-back 1-point games. They'd be 4-6, but they are 2-8, right? So going back to the Wizards, though, I expect this team to pick it up. Russell Westbrook and Bradley Beal still haven't really gelled together. Thomas Bryant obviously is a tough loss, but maybe that's a blessing in disguise for them just to pick up some more defense. But obviously, it's never something you want where a guy that's having a breakout season goes down. At 21, the Sacramento Kings are 5-7. They had an amazing start to the season. They were super exciting. Tyrese Halliburton is in my top 3 rookies of the year candidates right now. Make sure you watch that Rookie of the Year video. I believe it's dropping Saturday. So, they're putting it together. It's really just one of those mediocre teams that are a little bit below average. I don't see them being in the playoffs, maybe the play-in. But, they really got to get it figured out. Marvin Bagley's under an immense load of pressure after how much his dad puts on him. I don't know if you guys know that, but his dad goes crazy on Twitter like he's LeVar Ball, maybe even worse. Just no one really cares because it's Marvin Bagley and he plays for the Sacramento Kings, right? But if Marvin Bagley can figure it out, if Hassan Whiteside gets some more minutes, I think this team could be better than 5-7 for sure. At 20 of the San Antonio Spurs, this might be a little bit low, but I don't trust this team. I don't trust that Patty Mills will put up 27 points like every night. DeMar DeRozan, LaMarcus Aldridge, I believe will start to slow down a little bit. But DeJounte Murray looks great. I called that coming in the season. Don't at me. I love DeJounte Murray. That dude's a hooper. I think he's at 15, 7, and 7 right now. Obviously, he's a defensive monster too. So that dude's a baller. That rounds out my bottom 10. Going into number 19, the Pelicans are 4-6, which is a big surprise. They've choked away a couple games. They had a .003% chance to lose to the Pacers the other night with 20 seconds left, and they lost the game. But this team needs more spacing. I think Steven Adams got to get shipped out. So does Jackson Hayes. They got to find a new center that can really stretch the floor because Zion Williamson needs the ball more, but he can't really have it when Steven Adams is clogging up the paint. It's incredibly awkward. Lonzo Ball's had a better season. J.J. Redick is still shooting the rock. Brandon Ingram is doing nice things. He's almost putting up 30. So This team is definitely better than like the Spurs and the Kings to me. It's really just they've been underwhelming so far just because they haven't figured it out all these talented players on the court at the same time. At 18, the Cavs, another one of the bigger surprises this year. Colin Sexton, and Darius Garland have been an amazing duo. The reason they're 5-7 is because they haven't played the last few games, and when they're off too, they only put up like 90 points a game. They are horrendous offensively. Andre Drummond is starting to get it figured out though. Larry Nance has been amazing, especially I think he's the steals leader right now. So they have it clicking. And this team, I'm not sure if they're legit yet or if they're fake, so I put them in at 18. At 17, the Charlotte Hornets are 6-6. Yeah, this team has been exciting. Terry Rozier's dunking on people. He's putting up 27 a game. Devontae Graham has been shooting the ball very, very bad. I hope LaMelo Ball gets that starting role pretty soon. Obviously, we saw him the other night. The youngest player ever to put up a triple-double at 19 years old in like 140-something days. Gordon Hayward's back to Utah. Gordon Hayward, I don't think I could put this team any lower. 6-6 about sums up their season. Like some nights they're very, very good and exciting. Some nights they're the same old Charlotte Hornets we used to see. At 16, the Golden State Warriors got up to that 0-2 start, and everyone was like, they suck, including me. And they proved us wrong. Stephen Curry actually proved us wrong. Eric Pascal is having a great season off the bench. Draymond Green is better than I thought. I ripped on him earlier in a video before, and I was wrong because he is making an impact for sure for that team. James Wiseman having a Rookie of the Year candidate season, and the Warriors are at 16. They're right in the middle of the pack. It seems fair. At 15, the Magic sitting straight in the middle. 6-5 for them. Terrence Ross has been a bucket off the bench. That's honestly the first thing I could think of when I think of them. Cole Anthony's filling in the roles of Markelle Fultz pretty nicely. Really tough blow for them. I think they'd be a little bit higher on this list if it wasn't for Markelle Fultz. Vooch is having another Vucevic season where he's criminally underrated. Aaron Gordon's been shooting the ball like on the more inefficient side, but once he picks that up, I do believe this team will be a playoff team, play-in team, something of that nature. At 14, the Hawks 5-5 about sums up their season because 5 games when they were winning they look incredible. They're like, man, this is like a top 4 team in the East, and then when they lose it's like, or are they not? And they obviously have had some excuses where it's like, they're missing like half their bench, but at the same time they've had some bad losses where they should have been winning these games and they just can't pull it out. And I think it's just maturity. And I think they just need to grow as a team. I'm excited to see this team in the back half of the season. At 13, the Heat are 4-5. Very, very disappointing season for them so far. Obviously, they lost in the finals last year after this miraculous run. Tyler Hero hasn't been good, but he did just start to heat up. Put up a couple 30 pieces this year. Lately, Bam Adebayo has been in and out of the lineup. Jimmy Butler's been in and out of the lineup, and now we see them all under COVID protocols. But I don't think it's fair to say that this team is lower than 13, just saying that we know they're going to heat up. We know that, they're a talented team and they gel together. We just need to give them time to get back in the flow of NBA basketball. At 12, the Mavericks. I had this team higher coming into the season, but they've disappointed me. 6-4 right now. Kristaps Porzingis is supposed to make his debut tonight. I think it's tonight. Luka Doncic has been incredibly inefficient, but he's still putting up MVP numbers. Once Luka Doncic is hitting like higher than 30% from 3, which we all know he's going to do, this team will be back in the top 10. I love this team a lot. Watching them is a lot of fun. Jalen Brunson has been good. Like when Luka's not playing, I think this team, is underrated right now just because they've made us like second guess how good this team is. But I can't wait to see Kristaps Porzingis, the unicorn, back in action. He is a phenomenal big man, obviously, and that duo is lethal. At 11, the Nuggets are 5-6. They've started to pick it up lately. Start of the season was very, very tough for them. Jokic is putting up MVP numbers, though. Might be the MVP of the league at this current moment. Jamal Murray's really, really struggled. Obviously, we knew we didn't get Jamal Murray bubble production, but this is just so much worse than we expected. I really just think he's trying to take on too much, and he's shooting the ball too much, and he's trying to hit the hard shot when there's no reason to hit the hard shot. And, it's a lack of Michael Porter Jr. and Jamal Murray really being in the flow of the game. And that's how it is for a lot of these teams right now. Obviously, we're like 11 games in. Not every team's going to be in the flow of the game, and that's going to affect these power rankings. So I see this team as one of the more talented teams in the league. Tough loss with Jeremy Grant, who I didn't even mention for the Pistons. My bad. That's criminal. He's averaging like 20. But, tough losses here and there with Plumlee and Grant, but still this team should be doing better than they are. It might just be a on-court chemistry issue where they're trying to work out the kinks, and it'll work out. At 10, the Blazers. I constantly hate on Damian Lillard for being like the most forgived superstar ever. Like when any other superstar has a bad game, we rip on him. But like for some reason, when it's Kawhi Leonard or Damian Lillard, we just don't care. We let it go by. But CJ McCollum has been incredible this year. Damian Lillard has been Damian Lillard, but he hasn't been super duper star caliber like we've seen like the last 2 years. Robert Covington has had a tough transition into Portland. Carmelo Anthony looks great though, and I love to see Carmelo Anthony looking great. Jusuf Nurkic has had a really tough time, but I put this team at 10 because I believe in Jusuf Nurkic, I believe in Rocco, and I believe in Dame, and I believe that this team will get back right in the playoffs, easily in the playoffs. And they've started to figure it out. Dame and CJ have been clicking recently, and it's led them to 7-4. So at 9, I have the Utah Jazz again at 7-4. Donovan Mitchell has had a super incredible, inefficient start to the season. I don't know why I said super and incredible, but they've been incredibly inefficient this season. Bogdanovich has been incredibly disappointing, but Rudy Gobert seems like he's worth the money, and which I don't think he is. But it seems like this year he's playing up to it, and I think this team will get it figured out. It really is just, again, the flow of the game. At 8, the Suns, 7-4. They've looked really, really good this year. Chris Paul, Mikal Bridges, Devin Booker, DeAndre Ayton, Jay Crowder's looked really, really good. Cam Johnson's really, really good. This is a for sure bona fide playoff team. I can't put them any lower than 8. This Suns team is really, really talented. Chris Paul is going to lead them through this regular season. Devin Booker's going to get it a little more figured out. We've seen him struggle a little bit, but I think that this Suns team is seriously so exciting. At 7, the Indiana Pacers are 7-4. They just acquired Caris LeVert for Victor Oladipo straight up. Great deal for them. Fits in way better. It's a more long-term guy. He's 2 years younger. He's going to get more scoring next to Malcolm Brogdon. They lose a little bit of defense, but Miles Turner is averaging like freaking 25 blocks a game. They have it popping. I'm excited for this team with Caris LeVert going forward. I think this team is a serious threat in the East. Maybe not to get out of the East, but they will mess up some people's seasons for sure. At 6, I have the Milwaukee Bucks, 8-4. They've shown some really, really bad games at times. But Drew Holiday, Dante DiVincenzo, Giannis, and Chris Middleton are a serious threat. Dante's had a great improvement this season. Brook Lopez is stretching the floor just like we expect him to. Giannis, not an MVP caliber season just yet, but he does look good. Of course, he's Giannis Antetokounmpo. And Drew Holiday's had some very inefficient games, but he's also had some games where we're like, that's why we got Drew Holiday. Chris Middleton's holding it down just as he always does. The big problem is the bench. The bench has got to get better. Ship Pat Connaughton out. Ship DJ Augustine out. They don't deserve to be there. They're not playing well. But obviously we have seen them have good games. It's really just Bobby Portis coming off that bench, it feels like. Bryn Forbes has had some decent games, I guess. They got to get the bench figured out. They got to acquire some pieces like at the deadline or something. At 5, we have the Philadelphia 76ers. It's not fair these last 3 games they've lost because they've had 7 players. But they have an exciting rookie in Tyrese Maxey who put up 39 when they only had 7 players. Joel Embiid is having an MVP-type season and Defense Player of the Year-type season. Ben Simmons has struggled. Tobias Harris has looked really, really good. I expect this team, this is one of the more, if their chemistry isn't clicking teams, they won't be as good as they are. And they will get better with Ben Simmons. The rumors are gone now with James Harden already being shipped out to Brooklyn. That's a good thing for them. I expect this team to get a lot better. And Seth Curry's looked great for them. Seth Curry's looked really, really good. We saw Danny Green the other night, too, put up 9 threes, 27 points. So this team is doing what they need to do. Doc Rivers is a great coach. Daryl Morey's a great GM. I expect them to really be the 5th best team in the NBA and almost make it out of the East. They definitely have a shot this year. At number 4, the Los Angeles Clippers, also at 8-4. When they don't have Paul George right now, it does not look good. And when they don't have Kawhi Leonard, it does not look good. We saw them got blown out by the Mavericks second week of the season. But when they lose really, really bad. Kawhi Leonard and Paul George, more Paul George than Kawhi Leonard is having an MVP-type season. Obviously, he won't get close, but Paul George looks really, really good. He's proven me and the other haters wrong. Kawhi Leonard hasn't been the best player in the world like Max Kellerman likes to say. But this team with Serge Ibaka now has the pieces to go deep and maybe make it out of the West, but probably not. This Lakers team is ridiculous. At 3, the Boston Celtics. Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown are on COVID protocols, pretty much infected the whole team. They're lucky their games got postponed because unlike the Sixers, because the Sixers lost some games just for no reason, and it's like, what if it comes down to a game back or 2 games back? But the Celtics look incredible. Jason Tatum has had a little bit of a struggle compared to what we normally see from Jason Tatum, but he's a very, very good player. We know what he can do. Jaylen Brown's had a breakout year. They just take turns. One night it's a 40-piece for JB. One night it's a 40-piece for JT. When Kemba Walker comes back, the team's going to be even better. This team looks good. At number 2, the Brooklyn Nets. 7-6 right now. Kyrie's missed the last 3 games due to personal reasons. He just doesn't care about the game of basketball, it feels like. It's not his number one priority. Stephen A. Smith is saying he should retire. Obviously, that's a stretch. That's super far. And in my video last night, I hated on them. I ripped on them way harder than I should have. Kyrie Irving and Kevin Durant as a duo when they're on the court together has worked out perfectly so far, really. When they're not together, they lose a lot of these games. Losing Spencer Dinwiddie was obviously very, very tough. But right now they're 5 deep, don't have any defense. We've seen the Wizards score 140 points and lose. Bradley Beal has 60-point games and they lose. And they have no defense. And the Nets are going to be a lot of the same. DeAndre Jordan is not even a shadow of what he used to be, but he can still defend the interior for sure. Outside of that, with Harden, with Irving, with Durant, with Joe Harris, there will be no defense played. And I see this team obviously making it out of the East. These guys will straight up outscore you. Like the Wizards can't do that because they don't have the firepower of 2 of the top 5 scorers in the history of the game, plus Kyrie Irving. You can't go ISO. You don't have 3 defenders that can go ISO. You don't have a defender that can go ISO with any of these 3 players. But there's no way you have 3 caliber defenders to stop these guys. They will score it feels like every possession they will score. And if Kyrie Irving's having an off night, you got Harden and Durant. If Durant and Harden are having an off night, you got Irving. There's so many options for them to just straight up score the ball. And it is really, really scary for the rest of the league. I'm scared of their personalities meshing. Harden and Irving are on a different level. Durant has cleaned up his act, it feels like. But, dude, I'm so scared for this team. It really could go either way where they completely collapse. All these teams are free agents in 2 years. All these players are free agents in 2 years. It could go where it completely collapses. They don't work on the court. They don't have it figured out. Or they could win the championship for real. Like I said in my video last night, who's guarding Davis? Who's guarding LeBron on this team? Who's even guarding Dennis Schroeder? No one is. But who's guarding Durant? Who's guarding Irving? Who's guarding Harden? No one is. It's impossible to stop. And this team is going to be very, very hard to stop. I can't wait to see Irving get back on the court. I hope he does. At the same time, I hate him because he's a diva and a drama queen. But I want this team. I want to watch them. And then at number 1, obviously the Los Angeles Lakers. They're 10-3. If they lose a game, it's because they're coasting. They are coasting right now. I don't think LeBron's had a 30-plus point game. Maybe he has once. Same with Davis. But they're coasting. They have other scorers now in Schroeder. Harrell had 21 the other night. They look good. They look scary. They're deeper than last year. They have more scoring than last year. Like last year, they won with 7 bums. And then LeBron and Anthony Davis. And this year, it's not like that at all. And I expect this team fully to win the championship, go back-to-back. And they'll be a problem for a long time. Let me know what I said about your team in the comments, what you thought about it, how wrong I am, how right I am. Obviously, this is going to be one where people disagree with me because it's the power rankings and everyone disagrees with everyone. And that's okay. No reason to hate on me for that. But I will see you guys in the next one. I hope you enjoyed this video, and I hope you stay till the end. And see you in the next one, all right? Peace.